The year was 2137. The stars outside the window didn't blink. They just hung there, cold and still, like frozen eyes staring back. Captain Rae Morgan sat in silence as the small ship drifted closer to Echo Station 9, a forgotten listening post, floating beyond Mars, far from Earth, far from anything warm or alive. The space station looked like a broken claw reaching out into the dark. No lights, no signs of movement, just a heavy shadow resting in the void. Rae, a calm and quiet woman in her mid-30s, said nothing. Her thoughts were stuck in the past, wrapped around the memory of her younger sister, Juno, who died last year in a shuttle fire. Rae still wore her sister's silver ring on a chain around her neck, the metal cool against her skin, even through the suit. She hadn't taken it off, not once, not even out here. The crew behind her didn't speak much either. There were only two others, Lieutenant Cam Vega, sharp-eyed and always a little too quick to speak, and Dr. Lena Ashford, who had the kind of calm that made silence feel heavier. Their mission was simple: reactivate Echo Station 9 after 80 years of silence, check the long-range signal systems, log any findings, and return to base in 30 days. It was supposed to be a routine operation. No danger, no surprises. But the moment they docked, things started to feel wrong. The airlock opened with a loud hiss, releasing a stale breeze of recycled air and dust. The station's interior was dim, gray, and silent. Control panels were covered in a soft coat of grime, and old emergency lights flickered like candles left burning too long. Yet, strangely, the system was already online. Screens glowed with data. Power hummed through the floor. Rae frowned as she walked into the command center, scanning the glowing dashboards. This place was supposed to be shut down in 2057, she said, voice steady but low. Cam ran his fingers across the dusty edge of a monitor. "Someone's been here," he muttered. Lena moved to the control terminal and checked the system, logs her brow furrowed. No entries for 80 years until 3 days ago. Rae stepped forward, her breath shallow. A new file was listed. No title. Just a strange date. March 17th, 2037. 100 years into the future. She glanced at the others before pressing play. What came through the speakers wasn't a signal, it was a voice. A woman, crying softly. The sound was distant, as if it traveled across time and space, worn thin by the journey. After the sobbing came a whisper, shaky, tired, and full of fear. "It's still here. Please, don't bring it back." Then, silence. Rae stared at the monitor. Her hands felt heavy. The voice, it sounded like her own. No one slept that night. The crew sat in the control room, going over every system, every file, trying to make sense of what they heard. Dr. Lena suggested it might be some kind of audio glitch or reflection, a corrupted signal bouncing through deep space. Cam wasn't so sure. Rae said nothing. Her eyes kept drifting to the stars outside. That voice haunted her. It wasn't just fear, she felt it was something deeper, like grief that hadn't happened yet. The next morning, they continued exploring the station. Most of it was just as it had been left, cold, dusty, and quiet. But in the comms room, they found something that didn't belong. A small handheld recorder, modern to modern. Rae picked it up, her fingers trembling slightly. She pressed play. More static. Then the same voice, crying again. "And then, if you hear this, leave. Don't try to fix it. Don't follow the signal. It's not a call for help. This is Captain Rae Morgan. I couldn't stop it." Her grip loosened, and the recorder fell to the floor. That night, the station itself seemed to wake up. Rae was lying in her bunk when her screen blinked to life. An alert. Movement in the West Wing. That section had been sealed for decades. She called Cam and Lena. They checked the hallway together. Their boots echoed on the metal floor. The lights above flickered softly. The sensor had been tripped, but the hallway was empty. No sound, no movement. Just the faint hum of the ship's life support systems. Rae turned to Levant, then she heard it. A voice, soft, distant, calling. Her name? Rae, she froze. The others heard it too. Cam looked pale. That sounded like you, he whispered. Rae didn't respond. They returned to the control room, shaken. She checked the security logs again, hoping it was just a glitch. But what she saw made her blood turn cold. A new video log had appeared, time-stamped only minutes ago. It showed the airlock, and someone standing inside it. It was her, Captain Rae Morgan, walking calmly toward the outer door. The real Rae, the one watching the screen, couldn't move, couldn't speak. She watched herself press the release button, open the door and just stand there. No air, no suit. Yet, she didn't die. She just looked straight into the camera, expression blank. Then the footage ended. Rae stepped back from the monitor. Her breathing was uneven now. "That's not me," she whispered. "That wasn't me." The others didn't answer. And from somewhere deep within the station, behind the walls, past the locked doors, they heard it again. That same soft crying, closer this time. The station didn't sleep. It just stayed still, breathing in the dark. Cold air moved through the halls like invisible hands. Lights flickered overhead, never strong enough to stay steady. Rae walked slowly through the control deck, scanning every corner. Something had changed since yesterday. The air felt heavier. The silence was louder. It was like the station was listening. Cam was checking the thermal scanners. He tapped the screen hard. "That can't be right," he whispered. Rae looked over his shoulder. The system was picking up heat signals, two of them moving in the sealed lower deck. That deck had never been opened. Rae leaned closer. "Are you sure?" Cam nodded. "There's no one down there. We didn't open it. No one did." Later that day, Lena said she saw something. In the storage bay, Rae noticed her staring down the hallway, pale and still. "Did you see that?" she asked. Rae turned. Nothing, just the flickering lights and quiet metal creaks. "What did you see?" Rae asked. Lena didn't answer right away. "A shape," she whispered. "It was standing at the end of the hall, and then it wasn't." The crew kept the lights on at all times. They spoke in short, tense bursts. No one laughed. No one slept well. And the crying, it hadn't stopped. Soft, broken sobs echoed from vents and walls. Rae would lie in bed and hear it above her. It was always the same voice, always hers. That night, Rae found something strange. An old captain's journal was hidden in the system archives. No title. She opened it, thinking it was from a past crew. But as the words filled the screen, her hands went cold. The handwriting was hers. The journal wasn't from the past. It was from the future. Day 16. Juno's gone. I can still hear her crying in the vent. I sealed the door. It doesn't matter. The signal keeps changing. It's learning. It wants me to listen again. Rae stared at the entry. Her name was at the bottom, her words. But she hadn't written them yet. She showed the others. Cam looked scared now. "This isn't ghosts," he said. "It's like time's breaking." Lena stared at the file and whispered, "I don't think we're supposed to be here." The strange heat readings continued. Cameras turned on by themselves, recording only empty halls. But when Rae played the footage, there were shapes brief, still forms standing in corners. No faces, no movement. They vanished if you blinked. The future logs kept appearing. Rae would wake to new voice messages in the system. Always her voice. Always the same warnings. Don't respond to the signal. Don't follow the whispers. If someone calls your name, don't answer. Sometimes they looped. Sometimes they came from speakers she hadn't touched. One night, brushing her hair in front of a small mirror, a screen nearby crackled on Rae. Her name whispered slow and soft. She spun around. The hallway was empty. Then it got worse. She was reviewing security footage. A new clip appeared, time-stamped, just minutes ago. Rae clicked on it. The camera showed the main hallway, and Rae walking into the airlock. She was holding something glowing. Her face looked calm, like she was taking a morning walk. Rae stared. "I didn't go down there," she said out loud. Cam and Lena rushed over. "It's happening again," Lena said. "It's copying you, or showing what's coming." The recording shifted. Rae stood inside the airlock, turned to the camera, and spoke. But there was no sound. The image froze on her face, her own face staring. Straight ahead, Rae stepped back. Her hands were numb. "I want to go home," Cam whispered. "I don't think we can," Lena said. The station had changed. Rae could feel it in her bones. Something was watching them now, not from outside, but inside the walls, the floors, maybe even their minds. The lights still flickered. The air still groaned. But now, even the shadows felt alive. Time didn't make sense anymore. Clocks blinked the wrong numbers. Her watch froze for hours, then jumped ahead. And sometimes, when Rae looked into a screen, her reflection stared back just a second too late. It started with Cam. He went missing on day 12. One moment he was in the engine bay. Rae and Lena had been upstairs checking logs. When they came down, he was gone. His tools were there. His tablet was open, mid-spins, but there was no sign of him. No sound, just silence. They searched for hours. Room by room, hall by hall. No trace, not even footprints. It was like the station had swallowed him whole. Lena tried to stay calm, but Rae saw the cracks forming. Her hands shook, her eyes darted, like she was expecting something to jump out. She whispered to herself, things Rae couldn't hear. That night, they sealed the doors and stayed in the command room. Rae replayed the signal from the future again. She'd listened to it over 20 times, but something felt missing. She slowed it down, stretched the sound, picked apart each note. It wasn't just noise, it was a pattern, a strange signal that moved like a shape, not meant to be heard, meant to be followed. Rae stared at it for a long time. It looped, circled back, twisted into itself, like a snake eating its tail. A loop with no beginning, no end. She didn't want to believe it, but she knew. The message was from her. The woman whispering for help, that was her voice, her words, but from a version of her that didn't escape. Every Rae who came to this station died here, over and over. That night, she saw her reflection again, but not in glass, not on a screen. She passed the med bay and saw herself in a broken mirror, but the person looking back was older, tired, gray streaks in her hair, hollow eyes. Rae stepped closer, her heart pounded. The reflection didn't move, then its lips did, slow and quiet. "You left a door open." Rae jumped back. The lights flickered, then went out. Darkness. She backed away, heart racing, arms out. Then the emergency lights turned. Anna's soft blue glow crawled up the walls. Rae ran to the control room and slammed the door shut. Then knock knock, something tapped from the other side. Not loud, just 2 soft knocks. Friendly, like someone asking to be let in. The lights flashed blue again. Rae remembered the emergency guide. If the light turns blue, do not open the door. The knocking came again. Then a voice. "Rae, it's me. Let me in." It was Cam's voice. But Cam was gone. Rae pressed herself to the wall. Her breath shook. Her hands trembled. The voice kept speaking, gentle, calm, just like Cam. But something was off. Too smooth, too soft. Like someone pretending. It repeated, "Rates me. Let me in." Over and over. "Rae, it's me." She covered her ears. It didn't help. The voice echoed in her head. Lena sat in the corner, rocking, her eyes wide, unfocused. Rae reached for her. Lena pulled away, whispering, "It's learning. It's using our voices. It wants us to listen." That's how it gets in. The station groaned like a wounded animal. The blue light pulsed like a heartbeat. Rae turned off the screen, turned off the speakers, but the voice still came through. That night, Rae wrote her first log. Not for the station, for herself. Day 13. Cam's gone. Lena's breaking. The signal isn't a warning, it's a trap. I think I've heard it before, but I don't remember. When I think I'm stuck. I think I've always been here. She stared at the blinking cursor. No more words came. Then, behind her, a whisper, her own voice. But she hadn't spoken. Don't bring it back. The station was almost silent now. The humming of the machines had slowed, like the place itself was falling asleep. But Rae couldn't rest. Her body was tired, her hands sore, and her head full of voices that didn't belong. She was the only one left. Lena had vanished the night before. No scream, no struggle. One moment she was sitting across from Rae in the control room, shaking and whispering to herself, and the next, she was gone. Her coat was still on the chair, her mug of water still full, but there was no sign of her. Rae didn't bother searching. She already knew the truth. The station took her, just like it took Cam, just like it would take Rae, to unless she did something. She sat in front of the main console, replaying the last voice log over and over. The file was dated March 17th, 20-37, 100 years in the future. Her voice was shaky, weak, but still her own. She had listened to it so many times now, she could speak the lines from memory. This is Captain Rae Morgan. If you're hearing this, then I didn't make it. I tried everything. The signal, it's not just sound. It reaches inside you. It loops time. It copies you, and it never lets go. She paused the recording. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she opened the station's final emergency protocol. Self-destruct. Every deep space station had one, in case something went wrong that couldn't be fixed. A final button. One no one ever wanted to press. Rae didn't press it yet. She stood up and looked out the window. The stars outside were still cold and far away. Her escape pod sat at the edge of the lower docking bay. If she ran, she could reach it, maybe. If the station didn't stop her first, but something held her there. Something inside the whispers she had heard 100 times now. Don't bring it back. What was it? The signal. The voice. Herself. She pulled up the hidden files one last time. The logs from other versions of her. Each one had a message. A warning. A scream. One said, "I thought I could stop it if I stayed." Another said, "I destroyed the station, but it followed me home." And the oldest one, dated the same as the signal, 2237, said this, "I sent the signal. I had to. So maybe this version of me can close the loop." Rae's heart slowed. Her hands felt cold. She understood now. Every version of her had failed. Every version had come here, found the same signal, followed the same path, but none of them had closed the loop until now. She pressed the self-destruct button. The system asked for a code. She entered her ID. The screen flashed red. Detonation in 10 minutes. Rae ran. The hallway stretched out before her, long and full of flickering lights. She didn't look behind her. She didn't need to. She could feel the station shifting, the metal groaning, the air growing thicker. The whispers were louder now, crawling through the vents, bouncing off the walls. "Rae, stay. You're almost there. We need you." None of it was real, or maybe all of it was. But Rae didn't stop. She reached the docking bay, climbed into the pod, slapped the release button. The door shut behind her with a loud hiss. For a moment, everything was still. Then, fire. From the small window. Rae saw Echo Station 9 break apart behind her, swallowed in bright light and dust. The explosion didn't make a sound, but the silence was louder than anything she'd ever heard. She leaned back in her seat, breathing hard, her hands shaking. She had done it. She had escaped, or so she thought. Hours passed, maybe days. The pod floated through deep space, quiet and slow. Rae didn't know where she was going. She didn't care. For the first time in weeks, she let her eyes close. Sleep came quickly, but before the dreams could take her, the radio clicked. Just a small crackle of static, then a voice. "Captain Morgan, this is Echo Station 9. We received your signal." Rae's eyes snapped open. She stared at the radio. The voice was calm, friendly. It was her own voice. A cold chill ran down her spine. She looked out the window, and in the distance, a shape, a station. Still whole, still waiting. The loop wasn't closed. It had only started again.